Well, hi everybody, this is Dr. Shoto with this week's video introduction to week number 7 in our course in evidence-based practice. And it's good to be back with you again this week. Of course, last week, due to some travel early in the week and just issues with me really having an appropriate place to sit down and do a video, I didn't do a video for you last week. But it looks like the written instructions worked pretty well. And it was a good week of discussion, a good week of assignments this week. Of course, in week number 6, the topic was to talk about the data analysis approach for the qualitative research design in the Lin et al. Study. And really just to wrap up here, I'll be giving some final feedback in the discussion forum itself. But one of the things that is unique about this particular study is it used the Kolese method of data analysis. And of course, as you read through the book and read through the materials, it's a fairly unique type of a process that is used. And most studies do not use this form of qualitative data analysis. And the thing that makes it unique is that once the data is analyzed and the primary researcher or the team of researchers go through and review the information, then they send it back to the subjects who basically look at the data and say that yes, this is accurate, or no, it's not accurate. It's a little bit controversial in qualitative circles because some questions exist as to whether that second review may cause people to go back and change their answers a little bit, or say, no, maybe it's accurate data, but they maybe don't like the data the way it's presented, so they'll kind of sort of change up a little bit and, therefore cloud the data somewhat. But still, it is a method that is used. It has been found to be valid in many instances, and I think it was used appropriately in this particular study, although a couple of you made the point that when they returned the study back to the participants, the researchers did what is something that you sometimes have to look for in a research report, and that's, the Kolese method means that you go back and that you have the group or have all the participants give feedback. And they didn't really do that here. They just went back to one participant. It's not really clear why just one participant did that review, but and there may be any number of valid reasons why that maybe just one was available, or it was felt that just one was appropriate. But it's one of those things that does bring up a question, and those of you that brought up that question, that is correct. It is something that does make it a little bit questionable. It does make the entire study questionable. It's just you have to sort of wonder, would the entire group and the entire population of study subjects feel the same way as the one participant did? Also, just to reiterate that the basic differences between qualitative and quantitative analysis. Remember, you can't use qualitative studies to prove anything or to show cause and effect. Really, what qualitative does is it helps to amplify our understanding of what we know about something, or it helps to find new information that we may want to drill down into a little bit deeper. But you can't use it to show cause and effect or show how one thing causes another. That always takes a qualitative study. And I really want to reiterate that you can't use a qualitative study to, validate or to come up with results that require quantitative methodology. I think I said that right just a second ago. You need a quantitative study in order to show cause and effect. If it's not quantitative and it doesn't have some form of actual counting the numbers kind of research, then you can't use it to really, show any real, differences in outcomes, how one thing affects another, or anything like that. All you can really do is see what are the values, attitudes, and beliefs, and get more information about that, which makes it very popular in human subject research. And for this week, in week number 7, we're going to continue with this same article. We're going to talk about the sampling plan. Now, one thing also that makes qualitative articles a little bit unique is that compared to quantitative studies, they usually have a much smaller group of participants. And I'll be posting some information probably in Blackboard that talk about why that's true. But just to explain, in a qualitative study, really, you're just looking for enough subjects to give enough information where you reach what's called a saturation of the data. And in other words, that you receive enough data that it validates that you believe that you've pretty much gotten everything that you need to hear. In a quantitative study, you're trying to get as many people or as many data subjects in the study as you can, because the more subjects you have, the greater the validity of the data. And that isn't necessarily so with qualitative studies. And here's an example. For the example that I use is, let's say that you have a researcher that's going out and is going to do a research study on the what happened after a natural disaster, say an earthquake or a tornado or a hurricane or what have you. If you're looking at, for example, how many houses were torn down, or how many, what were the financial impacts, or, what percentage of increase was there in healthcare services, that's all quantitative data. And the more information you have, the more valid that data is going to be. However, if we do a study and take that same incident and we say, let's do a qualitative study and see what people's reaction, or see what the common experience was between all these people. Whether you talk to 3 subjects or 50, you're probably going to come up with the same themes. People are going to talk about being scared, or, having some stories that talk about how they were, impacted in some negative way, and how, they're dealing with depression now and they don't know what to do, and, their feelings towards, FEMA and the government, or towards the Red Cross. Those same themes are going to be present whether you're talking with maybe just, 5 people or 50. The numbers aren't really that important. So you talk to enough subjects until you feel that you are not getting any more new information. And that's what constitutes saturation of the data. And so therefore, the samples tend to be a little bit smaller, in some cases much smaller. It's not uncommon, for example, in a case study, which is a form of a qualitative study, they just have one person participate in the study. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about, again, focusing on this study, and talk about data saturation, or was data saturation achieved, and are the results transferable, and if so, by whom? I'll leave you to your reading of the material and the book to kind of come up with your own answers. And of course, I'll be participating along with you again this week. Kind of back is a full week again with my, full internet and full everything back, is sort of my normal availability. So I hope that everybody has a great week. One thing that I would like you to do is please just remember that there is a evaluation that is going to be available soon. I believe it's going to be available in week 7 through week 8, and it's a evaluation of the class, of me and my teaching style, etc. And so I would ask you to go ahead and complete that. Your feedback is important. It's important to me personally, so that I know that I'm on track and that I'm providing a good educational service and a good learning experience for you. And it's important for the school. One last final thing, of course, the other item due coming up is your quantitative study analysis. Be aware of that, and that will be due the end of this week. You've all seen the feedback that I've given you on your qualitative analysis, so that gives you some idea as to the level and depth of where you should be honing in on those quantitative studies. The process is really very similar. You're just using a qualitative study in this particular case, and reporting on how you found the various elements. So I wish you a good week. I look forward to participating in class along with you once again. As you have any questions, feel free to pass them along, and I'll see you in the discussion forums.